Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters of Girl Education. So happy that you're still with us. Love that. I'm Jeannie Goka, and I am, first of all, a member of the board of the National Coalition of Girls School. I'm also an affiliate of the Young Women's Leadership Network. I'm part of the Young Women's Preparatory Network, and I am the principal of the Ann Richards School for Young Women Leaders that is located in Austin, Texas, and is a public all-girls school, grades 6 to 12. We've had 3 graduating classes, 100% graduated, 100% college, 45% indicating a STEM major, and 65% of them are first in their families to go to college. So we're pretty proud of that. Of course, we focus on leadership in college, but we also focus on wellness. And we've heard from Ariana and Gloria and Irshad and Rachel about taking care of our girls. But I just right now want to take care of you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit comfortably. I want you to roll your shoulders. I want you to take your hands and kind of massage your head because you've had a lot of things coming at you. Doesn't that feel good? I want you to take your hands and rub your forehead like this, and then rub your eyebrows. And now, I want you to close your eyes, and we're going to breathe 20 times, because sometimes we forget to breathe. All right, here we go. Take those deep breaths and let it out. Raise your hands in the air. Stretch high. Let it down. And roll those shoulders one more time. Hope you all feel better on that. The reason why I really wanted you to get focused is because you've been given a lot of information, wonderful information, that I know you cannot wait to get started at your schools. But we have a most extraordinary speaker that will lift you up and take you on her own journey, and at times will make you feel very inconsequential. But at the same time, she will make you feel powerful. You might have read her bio in your notes, but just a little bit about her. At 5 years old, she had to make a decision that would change her life forever. At 5 years old, where were you when you had to make any life-changing decision? But her decision did not just be about herself. It wasn't the fact that at 5 years old, she had to decide that she had to take charge of her life. Otherwise, she was doomed into a society that had no regard for women. So at 5 years old, at 5 years old, she began her new journey of who she was, but not only who she was for herself, but who she was for the future of girls. Let us proudly give our hands to clap on stage. Kakenya, Ntaiya.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm excited to be here because I don't have to preach something that you don't know. I just want to affirm what you're already doing. I'm Kakenya Ntaiya, and I come from Kenya. When I mention Kenya, what is the first thing that comes into your mind? Fast runners, a marathon. Yeah, that's what comes into your mind. Exactly. So that is David Rudisha, who comes from actually my village, and he is the world record holder of the 800 meters. But when you hear about Kenya, there's also something else you must know. If you have ever looked at any materials that talks about Kenya, if you've been to Kenya, if you are interested in Kenya, anything you search about it, they will always tell you about these people. The Maasai. The Maasais are really known because they are one of the communities that hold into their traditions very dear. We know them as tall, they jump high. We are told the Morans, the warriors, they kill lions, right? So you've heard about that. So we are very famous, actually. With our backwardness, we are still famous. The Maasais live in Kenya and in Tanzania. And in Kenya, there are about 800,000 Maasais. There are not many. I've not gotten the figure for the Tanzania, so we don't know each other. Today, I want us to talk about a place that is so right there. Right there. We're in the farthest, I come from a village called Ntaiya, which is really far from Nairobi, about 250 miles. If you've been to the Masai Mara, how many have been to the Masai Mara? Whoa, yes, so you've met my people. So we are from that side of the Masai Mara. Yes, that looks like a buffalo, right? It's actually a bull. And cows are very important to the Maasai people. You know, we are nomads. We move from one place to another. That is changing. But that is how we live. We move with our cows. And cows is the bank. You know, we keep money in the bank. Our money is cows. How many cows you have, that's how you decide who is wealthy. So everything, and the cows belong to the man. Everything it's the most valuable thing that we own in our society. But today I want to talk about women. You might not know of them a lot because they don't kill lions, they don't jump high. They're in the background in the society. They're really the people that are holding our society. Women build houses. This woman is going up on top of the house to make her house. Women fetch water, women cook, women collect firewood, women sweep the house, women take care of the kids, women do everything. Not different maybe in most societies. And for that woman to become that strong, that means when she's a young girl, when a girl is born, she's actually prepared to be a woman at a very early age. As soon as she starts walking, she's taught how to sweep the house. She's always working with her mother doing things in the house. That's all. She has to train to be a mother. So that is the life. That's a girl carrying firewood in her head. She has to learn how to take care of her siblings. She has to do everything. That is the life of a girl. I was born in that society, and I was actually engaged when I was 5 years old, which was a very good thing because my mother was very hardworking. And that means a man saw that my mother, and that family saw that my mother was very hardworking, ensuring that I was also going to be hardworking. So let's book her, because if she gets older, she'll be taken by many other. So I was engaged when I was 5 years old, and everything I did from there on was to prepare me to become a wife. I'm one of 8 in my family. But something happened in my life that I was fortunate to go to school. I went to school not because I was going to, we go to school here so that you can become a teacher or you become something. Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, that's what we're instilling in our students, right? But I was going to school because the government required people to go to school, and we went there to socialize, to meet with friends, and it was not a place where you have to dream outside what the society is telling you. And that meant in school, the girls were told to go collect firewood. They were told to go sweep the teachers' houses and the classrooms. They were told to cook for their teacher. The same societal roles that the society is telling us is what we were also told in school. When their classrooms, so as I went to school, so in first grade, second grade, fourth grade, you get a lot of girls. But as soon as they start getting to 6, 7, 8, there are fewer girls because that's when they start getting off to getting married. When I was in school, I really, really admired my teachers. And that's where my dream of becoming a teacher came alive. I wanted to become a teacher. I wanted to become a teacher because, people laugh when I talk about this, because they were dressed really nicely. And as a young girl, trust me, no matter where you are in the whole world, you want to be a little princess and change your dresses every day, wear high-heel shoes. And really, seriously, this is what I was seeing in my teachers. So I knew if I became a teacher, this was going to be my life. Because what I was doing at home, helping my mother, was really difficult. Working in the farm sometimes, collecting those firewoods, it was a hard job. And I thought that becoming a teacher was the simplest thing that I will ever be. I know different now. Just write on the board and just, dress nicely, and, that's a really nice thing. So I went to school really so determined to become a teacher. So I was focused. I have a husband waiting, but no, I want to become a teacher. You could think that it's the simplest, the easiest thing that you can, you just go to school, go to high school, go to college, and achieve your dream. But it was different. At the age of 13, in my community, you have to undergo a rite of passage. When you reach puberty, you have to undergo a rite of passage to become a woman. And all the girls were going through it. It's a ceremony, it's celebrated, it is what you've been waiting for. You've been told about it since you were a little girl, that this is what's going to make you a woman. And so this rite of passage, nobody avoids it. Everybody goes through it. So my time came, and I knew that very well, that if I go through this rite of passage, I was going to be married off. I already had a husband, so just go through the rite of passage and you get married. But deep inside me, I really wanted to become a teacher. I needed to figure a way of avoiding this, because once you go through the rite of passage, you are married. And what was so hard is that what people ask, what made you think, you didn't want to get married? It's because the life I saw my mother was living in. My father was a policeman. He came home once a year. Sometimes we didn't see him for 2 years. And every time he came home, he would abuse my mother, beating her. He would sell the cows we had or whatever we had, and he would go drink with his friends. A woman did not own anything. And to me, many times I would go to the rescue of my mother when my father is beating her. And it was so painful when I saw my mother cry. Sometimes she ran away to stay with her mother, her family, and she would be sent back to my father. And when my mother was absent, I was the mother for my siblings. And so this rite of passage, I knew that if I was only helping my mother to raise my sibling and it was hard enough, what about me being married? I was going to be subjected to beating by my husband. I was going to be forced to raise my own children. And I wanted to avoid it. I talked to my father, something that most people, it's a normal thing. But I knew that if I stay before going through the cut or before going through the ceremony, I was going to actually be fine. Nobody will marry me because I'm a dirty girl. There are all these stigma things around it. I was okay carrying the stigma because so long as I become a teacher. But it was not just easy because my father's name was also at stake. He would be told the father of the dirty girl. He would not have a place to be with his friends in the bars. And really, I told my father this, look, I will only go through this rite of passage if you let me go back to school. I was going to run away. I threatened him to run away. But he had no option but to let me. I went through the rite of passage, something that as a child, as I was growing up, I already saw people going through it. We always witnessed, but this day it was me and my sister and another girl. And because I was the older girl, it's a whole week ceremony, everybody excited, and it ends with a whole night of dancing and excitement. And the next morning is when you actually go out, and now you're formalized to become a woman. And when I walked out, of course, there was all this massive people waiting for you, and a woman sitting in the middle of a group of people, and she is waiting for me to sit down, and I sat down. I, open my legs. It's a ritual. That's what we do. And another woman comes and grabs my clitoris and cuts them off. When you're watching from a distance, you don't really know what that means. There is no anesthesia you're given. You've been prepared as a young girl that you can never cry because brave Maasai women do not cry. You feel like you had no option because somebody is holding you. You can't cry because your sister is right in line for you. So you have to be brave. After that moment, I bled. I fainted after that. It was normal. I knew deep inside me this was wrong. I had heard of girls dying from the cut. I was fortunate. I'm alive today. After the ceremony and the excitement, my mother was a strong person. She did something that most Maasai women don't do. She went and brought a nurse who came and healed us. And in 2 weeks, I was completely healed. And I went back to school. My grandmother never believed I was healed. She had to come and check because this is a miracle, just happened. We don't normally heal. People take 6 months because there's no medication on it. You're supposed to heal naturally. So infections come, and that's how people die. I went to school so determined, and I said, I don't want my children to go through. I never wanted my little sisters to go through because we are also told never to share what happened to us. We can't share with the girls who have not been cut. We cannot talk about it. Something is going to happen to you, so trust me, nothing happens to you after you speak up. But while I was in high school, there was a young man from my community who had helped many men go to college in the U.S., and the norm of educating men actually was not different. So in a society, men were educated. They are the ones who achieve. They are the ones who are in the bank. They are the ones who are politicians. It's normal. It's normal. So this guy had helped many guys to go to America to study. But there was that thing inside me. It's like, He always came home, again, craziness of me and clothing. He always had this white T-shirts and jeans and sneakers and a camera, and you're like, that's where I'm going. I was like, he was always happy, and the notion of us thinking going to the U.S. was like, wow, this is where the dreams come through. Well, I think this is where I want to go now. Going to a teacher's college in Kenya might not be as exciting as this guy was putting himself up to. So I talked to him, and he looked at me and said, don't you have a husband waiting? I said, don't worry about the husband. Just find me a school to go to. And I think he didn't believe that I was actually serious, because the business of going to study abroad and might be different from here, but when you're in Kenya, it is hard. You have to do all the exams. You have to go from a village to go look for a passport. It's a difficult task. So I was like, don't worry, I will handle those things. Just find me a school. So he looked for a school, and I got a scholarship to attend Randolph-Macon Women's College in Lynchburg, Virginia. You would think that's like, I have a full scholarship, I'll just get on the plane and arrive, right? But no, because I needed to raise money that will bring me here. you will give somebody a scholarship, but you don't know how they get from there to here. And then in my community, whenever men were going to college, there were always excitement about it, and people came together in the village, they raised money for them, but they have never seen a girl. And this time, it was a woman asking for funding to go to overseas. Everybody was against it. The guy who was helping me had people camping in his house, telling him, why would you let this opportunity go to a woman? This is a wasted. She's not going to be nothing. She's just going to disappear. We won't support her. But because I knew my culture very well, I had to use something that I needed to figure out how to put these people to support me. We believe that the sunrise brings good news. So I had to use something about the sunrise. So every early morning before the sunrise, I went to the guy who was like a chief who, if he says yes, like the elder in the village who everybody believed in. And I knew if I convinced him, everybody else will come on board. I went to him before the sunrise, and when he opens the door, he finds me in his door. And he, my child, what are you doing here? I said, well, Dad, you know that, everybody's, your father's age is your dad, so everybody's your dad. I want you to help me go to the U.S. You've already heard about it. I will go. I promised heaven and heart to him. I told him I'll be the most behaved girl, Anything he wanted to hear, I told him. He said, well, but I can't do this alone. And then he says, okay. He told me, okay, go to these other homes. 16 other men. I did it every morning. And eventually, a team of men, women from my village raised funds for me to come to the U.S. I was so excited when I got on the plane. I am out of Africa. I'm gone. So I arrived in Lynchburg, Virginia. It was January, winter. I always thought snow is on top of mountains. But outside my window, the trees were covered with snow. I learned a lot. Of course, there were these big stores that you go in and you don't know what to pick and what not to pick. I went to the cafeteria and there was, the culture shock was like bad. I lived in a village where there was no running water, no electricity. To a place where there's running water, the lights are, you don't know when it's day and when it's night. I was confused most of the time. You go to a classroom, the professors are using examples that you have no idea. What is Ben and Jerry? They talk about red socks. I'm like, what are they talking about? And with all those culture shocks, and I didn't know how to type. I learned how to type when I was in college. My first paper was half typed and half handwritten. I worked on it very up to the late night. You go to the college, everybody's typing their things. I'm here with the program that teaches me how to type. It was beyond. But with all that, I was taking English classes. My English was horrible then, but I learned so much. The moment I came here, internet, trust me, we didn't even have newspapers, was just for men. Having access to information. I learned a lot. My first paper in college was on FGM, on female genital cutting. Professor just ended up like, oh yeah, if you're interested, you can do a topic, you can choose things like here, and she just handed it over. And I was drawn into that because I actually didn't know what it was, but it sounded familiar. And when I did the research on female genital cutting, when I learned that what actually my village was calling a rite of passage was a violation against women's bodies, girls. And you learn that it's against the law in your own country. And you figure out, does this law apply to the villages? And you learn that girls had rights to go to school, that it's somehow against the law to be married when you're 12. And while in the village, it was a normal thing. I learned so much. I mean, I came here wanting to become a banker. I changed my major from that to international relations, political science. I just wanted to learn and learn and learn and learn. I was so curious, and it was, when you lived in my village, you didn't know the rest of the world actually existed. You're kind of in that little bubble. And when you're here, the whole world, you hear that FGM is not just in Kenya. It's not just among the Maasai people. It's throughout Kenya. It was throughout Africa, throughout the world. As we speak today, 3 million girls are at risk of going through FGM this year alone. As we speak now, 15 million girls in the whole world are at risk of getting married before they're 18 years old. That is 28 girls every minute are being married. It might be a figure to you, but it's not a figure in my village. It's not a figure in many communities that are affected. When a girl is married when she's 12, her future is completely destroyed. Her dreams are furnished. Poverty creeps into her life. Her health goes off because when you give birth when you're 15 years old or 13 years old, your life is not there. That is what is happening in the communities, in the world. That's what's happening. And so when I came here, I continued going back home, and I told you the stories that every time I went, I would ask for a neighbor's child, and she's already married. I would ask for so-and-so, she's already married. And the traumatizing experiences, I started talking to mothers. I said, we need to do something. We need to do something so that our girls can actually, because I felt that I was so empowered by getting an education. I was different. Of course, they always looked at me and said, you look so young. You don't look like you're my colleagues my age. I said, because I married later in life. I was not married when I was talking to them. I talked to men about it. And to me, I really wanted the support, because the same way they supported me to go to the U.S., I had that idea that, you sent me, I want to come back. And the education that I got, I want to help build my community. And the way I knew to do was that to start with women, to start with girls, to give them a place where they can just be girls, a place where they can dream, a place where they are just seen as children. Because for us, when you reach 8 years, you're not a child anymore. You're told, don't jump a rope. That is the thing for for children. Can you imagine that? Some of you might have an 8-year-old, and you're thinking, can you imagine her not jumping rope? Because supposing the society believes she's now a big girl, she's supposed to behave well. When I talked to the men, they used to say, what do you want to do? I was talking to the women, and the school for me was really an attractive place. I went to Randolph-Macon, and there's something happened when I was in that women's college. I was free. I felt like I could do, whatever I could talk to the teachers. I never feared. I felt there was that closeness that I already developed with my friends, my classmates, and we were just sisters building each other. My roommate, I always made fun. I would say we are driving, and I would say, that lorry, and she said, no, it's called a truck, and but that's where I really learned a lot. And I knew that we needed to do something in my community where girls can actually do that. So men came on board, and mothers came on board, and we built a school for girls. In 2009, I started a girls' school. I was actually in my graduate work at the University of Pittsburgh. And when you go to University of Pittsburgh, my professor told me, you cannot do some life-altering changes when you're doing your PhD program. You have to you have to be focused on your PhD. And I said, yes, professor. So I did crazy things during my program. I got married. I had a child. And I started the school. But because for me, I actually started the school in 2009. I went home for spring break. And I had gone home a year earlier. And when I was home, something really traumatic happened, an experience that changed my life completely. a girl from my village. You know, you've had these things. And I think after I learned about it, when I went home and this girl was getting married, and she was a young girl, and she was actually also getting married to a younger man. And when she got married, the day of the honeymoon now, people go listen in if something happened. So nothing happened that day. The next day, the man has to go report what happened, and the girl had to go report what happened. Apparently nothing happened. So the boy had to be supervised the next day. And because it was really hard. And people go listening, and you hear these stories. And because the girl was really young and nothing could happen, they had to use a horn, a cow horn, to really penetrate the girl. And everybody was talking about her in the village. The girl could not run to her mother's home because the cows have already been exchanged. When you get married, the family gives cows. It's an exchange. You're gone. The girl had no place to go. She had nobody to go share what she actually was going through. And to me, I said, I could not hear again a story like that. I needed to do something. So my goal was to go and start with 10 girls because we didn't really have funding. I was just talking about it. And the men had given me a piece of land, and they said, here is the land, the bush I was showing you. Build the school. And I said, well, if we start with 10 girls, the next year we could increase. So I went there, and 100 girls came. You're like, okay, I did not advertise. I had just been sharing with men and women about me wanting to build a school. I did not expect 100 girls coming. They came. We ended up with 30 after that. And we started with we just had a little place that we just rented a place. And from there, now I started really raising funds to build the school. What we've done in the school is an amazing thing, which you all know. Girls love learning together. And for me, we had to do a boarding school because of safety. The girls come home to school. On their way to school, many of them were being raped. And if a girl gets raped, the mother is blamed. You don't talk about it. It's a taboo. You had put yourself there. So there was I needed a boarding school because I felt like that was the place that the girls could really be themselves. And also in a boarding school, they would not be subjected to the daily chores of every morning cleaning, milking cows, collecting waters, and all of that. But they had time to learn. And so we did that. And we worked with our teachers to make sure that, when you are in a co-ed school, the girls are competing for their attention. The men are always shifting. Even they don't know the answer, their hands are up. Trust me, it's a universal thing. They're just shifting their hands up. But the teachers we had no option but to work with the girls. And they had no option but to see the girls as leaders. The girls had to be school council. They had to be everything that needed to be leadership had to be the girls. There was no other option. So it's really worked. And then, really girls became confident. And I don't have to preach about this because it's the same thing that happens in your school. It's what happens in our girls' schools. Meals are a critical point of our lives because in the homes, the kids were just eating maybe a small meal, but here we are doing balanced, well diet. We give fruits, and Jenny from Daraja is here with me. In Kenya, you don't really think of a balanced diet when you're thinking about a boarding school. So when we bring fruits in, they're like, you're really spoiling these children. Milk is a very key thing in the society. Just the vegetables and all the things that you give. But in a Kenyan boarding school, you might not find that. We do a lot of field trips. The same, I don't know what you call them, exposure trips here. And we take them to places that have never been. Because you are in a small village where to take them out and take them to the other places to see. We went to a fishing community. We take them to Nairobi where there are law enforcers. We take them to see the parliament, to see themselves and to see other women driving cars. Trust me, they don't see that in the village. To see women getting out and to inspire them. And what has been happening is that our girls, trust me, when you give women or girls an opportunity, they will surprise you. Trust, the girls want to be lawyers. They want to be teachers. They want to be doctors. And the more we expose them to women who are doing those things, then they can start believing that it can actually happen to them. This girl is called Paranai. Paranai comes from a very close place in the Mara. And in her village where she comes from, no girl had ever gone to high school. When Paranai came, she came from, we take our girls in 4th grade, because it's a boarding school, we start in 4th grade, that's when they stay there. She had come, when she came, before that, she was actually older in her group, because in where she was coming, she used to walk to school and she would see elephants. And her parents would say, you have to wait until it is daytime, at least 8, 9 o'clock. So she was always late for school. She has to leave school early so that she can get home before it's dark. And it was really difficult. Her education was behind. We took her in, and she was in our school. By the time she was in 6th grade, her father somehow decided that he was going to marry her off. She was going to marry her off. And, because she's in my school, all the girls in our school, the parents have to sign a contract that they will not marry the girls off, they will not subject them to female mutilation, and all of that. But the father was so daring. He was like, no. So the school opens, Paranai is not in school. And we are calling her, we are calling the father, and the father is like, no, we've decided. And he had brainwashed her and all of that. So I tend to be, don't mess up with me. I called the father, and he refused. And I, sent my people in. I said, go bring the girl. And I bring the girl, and I talk to her, and I said, so what? She's like, well, my dad just decided that it's okay, I just go to this school. And I said, you know what? You're going to school, and every day school closes, I'm sending you home in a bike, and I'm bringing you back to school. And because she's very fast, so we have to do a motorbike and all of that transportation. Every day, I had to do that every time. Every time she went home, I would send her home, and I will send somebody to bring her back. Last year, Paranai sat for our national examination in our school in 8th grade. And in her village, there had never been a girl who had passed an exam. She became the first girl in her village to finish primary school with 350 points out of 500. That's a big deal in Kenya. Jenny would know that. And she became the first girl to go to high school this year from her village. You know what happened? The father, who was really bad, had already turned around. And he was so excited to take her to school. He's like, my girl, my girl, my girl. And I said, this is what we do. We change lives because we believe in impacting one girl, one village, one country until we change the whole world. Her story is changing her village. I see a lot of her, a lot of me in her. This is her home where she comes from. This is our future. We are now dreaming big. We have 183 girls in our primary school. We've sent 100 girls to high school around the country, which has been a very difficult thing for us because we have to send them away. And now we are dreaming of building a K through 12 school, and we look for partnership. I've heard of STEMs and all of that. Trust me, our girls are really good at that too. So really working with the girls so that at high school we feel like those 5 years we are with them is not enough. We want to spend more time with them so that we unleash the potential in them, send them out to the world to change the world. When I talked about how many girls come to our program, each year, this year we had 230 girls apply. Only 40 got accepted. So many go back. So we started a health and leadership training program for girls that don't come to our school. We train in the health issues, FGM, rights, and so this picture is we have about 200 and something girls in a very small space, but they love coming there and learning and just being girls. We do self-defense, a critical component of building your self-esteem, because a lot of things that are happening in the villages, defilements, rape, and all of that, that we empower the girls so that they're able to stand up for their rights, and they're able to say no to FGM. They're able to say, I want an education. Where do I go to get that education? This is our high school girls that we are supporting through scholarships, and mentorship is a very key component that we really linking the girls to university students, to people who are already at careers, so that we tell them that, you know, you're just finishing one step, but let's go into another step. Really amazing. I'm proud of this moment. Last year, President Obama came to Kenya. It was all in the news. You heard that, right? And one of our girls was invited to be able to share with him about, yeah, this doesn't happen. It was like just, you know, miracles happen, I guess. But we were invited in a very small, 50 people in one room, and one of our girls was there to speak. I was, of course, there. But she shared her story about what it meant to come to Kakenya Center for Excellence. And trust me, you know what happened? She got a hug after that. And this just to us speaks about how we take girls who otherwise would have never imagined and dreamed of such an opportunity and expose them to so many of them. This was a moment that has changed not just that girl's life, but so many in the village. They feel like now it was, because they've been in the same school, they also believe that I can actually be more than what my community thinks. We are just speaking out. We're just impacting lives. And I know that's what you do when you speak to our girls, because that is the way we change our society. Women empowerment is so critical. Girls' empowerment is so critical. It is so key that we have to do it. And I'm so excited to be here because I know the linkages that we will create. Take your girls out of your comfort zone. Push them to the limit. Because when you do that, that is how they get to experience. This is how they get to change the world. I'm so excited. I'm so really empowered to be here because I feel this is like I'm so comfortable here. We can talk about girls. And I want to challenge you because I think most of the time we think that the issue of female genital cutting happens in Africa. The issue of early child marriage might be happening outside there. Maybe you're not thinking that it's actually happening within your communities. You're probably thinking, okay, this thing about women empowerment and gender violence is something that is out away from you. Trust me, this is something that is happening in your own communities. They're happening in your own communities. You have a lot of immigrants from different communities coming in. They will take those girls to Africa, get mutilated, and bring them right back into your classroom. What does that mean to your students? So we really have to be very energized, very well thought about, and empower girls because that is the way we change our world. That's the way we make a difference in our world. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You stand right there, I guess.
Thank you.
If I had the opportunity to be able to transform our girls beyond the immediacy of their lives, and you know what that means, to that of doing right for the global community, would I not have Kakenya speak to our school? Let's give her a round of applause. And on behalf of all of us, we'd like to give her this token of our appreciation. And remember this, because of Kakenya, over 200 girls will not face mutilation. Over 200 girls will not have to get married at 12 years old. And over 200 girls will take charge of their lives and provide a better life for not just themselves, but their entire family, village, community, and country. We are in awe of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jeannie. Kakenya, you honor us with your presence. Just quickly, a program note, an announcement, and some very few brief words of gratitude. As a program note, our school tours are happening in really just a few minutes. So anyone who is involved with the school tours, you're meeting on the 3rd floor. That's floor 3, and everyone will gather there. We'll assemble, and then the buses. Please be there no later than 12:35. So we have a really quick turnaround time. So no later than 12:35 on the 3rd floor. I'm really happy to share that the opening session where we saw the amazing video, it was a compilation of all of our schools that were able to contribute a video clip. I can hardly believe it, but that view is up to 42,000 people have already seen that video worldwide. So let's give ourselves a round of applause. Thanks. Thanks. And just a few words of gratitude before we leave. To all of our strategic partners, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so very, very much for all of your time and your talent. To all of our sponsors, I want to thank you for your interest and your enthusiasm. To each and every one of our delegates who came from near and far, thank you for your passion and your commitment to girls' education. And most especially to the NCGS team, to Olivia, to Eliza, to Paige, who is at home just returning from maternity leave, and to our student intern volunteer, Katie, and especially to Jen Shakeshaft. Thank you so much for helping to realize this vision. So with that, I wish you the very safe travels, and please do enjoy those school tours. Thanks.